Outside the Cinema uses such coarse words as shit, fuck, anal. So if you're upset by any of these words or offended in any way, don't listen. And if that's still not enough, you can go f*** yourself.
You're listening to Outside the Cinema. Outside the Cinema, your source for cult movie discussion. Now, here's your hosts, Bill by Force and Mr. Chris.
That's probably going to be a lot better right there. Yep, so right off the bat, starting with all kinds of issues. But that's, yep, all right, so that's how we're going to do it. Yeah, welcome to the OTC-200 pre-show. Very excited to be here doing it. I don't usually do solo stuff, so it's kind of weird to have to look at this camera right here and look at all of you fine folks that are there in the chat room. In text form at least. So yeah, very important. I do have a very nice mustache going on right now. That's a big part of the OTC-200 celebration is me having a mustache. So I'll tell you, my wife loves it. She's a big fan of the mustache. My wife actually not so much. That's a lie. My parents like it though. At least my mom does. But anyway, this is the OTC-200 pre-show. Live stream only, will not be going out on the feed, so if you are hearing it, you are lucky and probably pretty awesome too. As I was saying before we went on the air right there, even though we were technically on the air, this show is really, the pre-show is really something I wanted to do for our UK listeners and guys that are overseas, and ladies, not just the guys. But I definitely got a number of emails from people that are saying, I really want to watch the show live. We're doing it later on a Sunday than we normally do, so we're going to be able to get a bigger US crowd than we normally do. But unfortunately, being 5 hours ahead in the UK, we definitely wanted to include you guys. So that's why we're doing this, and by we're I mean me. So I've got a bunch of stuff planned for the pre-show here. It's going to be a bunch of some old stuff, some old stuff from old shows. We're gonna play some music. This is gonna be kind of like a real, just kind of random smorgasbord of things in celebrating OTC. So I may repeat some stuff in the regular show that I'm going to say here during this pre-show. I'm not a professional, as many of you know. Any of you that have listened to the show for a long time know that I'm not. I'm gonna drink my Gatorade now. Very good. But yeah, it's this is kind of just a loosey-goosey. You like that? Loosey-goosey, I would say that. Prep for the regular big show, which will be available if you guys don't get to see it live. You will be able to watch it on the live stream feed at some point, and then it also will be out as the regular episode normally is. So yes, the chat room is, a buzz about the goatee. My good friend Mike from Chinstroker vs. Punter says, "You haven't cheated with a pseudo goatee? No way. No, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it." So it's really a special thing because my wife's never let me have a mustache before, and I didn't give her much of a choice this time. But first and foremost, OTC-200, very, very excited about this. This is a big deal for us. Many of you guys that listen to us are podcasters. Many of you guys do your own shows, and you understand just the severe amount and undertaking that doing a weekly podcast can be. When we started this show, or when I say we, when I started the show, obviously Chris is a big part of this, but he came in a little bit after the fact. We started the show a little under 4 years ago with a friend of mine named Ryan. He was the co-host for the first 54 episodes, I believe. And we kind of just did it as something to do. I had come from playing in punk rock and hardcore bands for a long time. Obviously, that kind of lends itself very well to genre cinema and horror movies and exploitation movies and stuff like that, because when you play extreme music, usually into extreme things, extreme films come along with that, and that's kind of how this was born. I listened to a podcast called Mondo Movie, which I've had the pleasure of talking to those guys a number of times. Really nice guys. They're not currently doing Monday Movie, but great podcast. If you go back and listen to their their old feed and a lot of their episodes. They were one of the first shows that I kind of got into. Very quickly met the guys from Cinema Diabolica. F13 actually reached out to me very early on, said that he liked the show, despite the fact that the sound quality was poor. The first few episodes of Outside the Cinema, sound quality was real bad. I might play some clips of that in a little while just to give you guys an idea of just how bad it was. But it was bad. I very quickly learned that I didn't want to do something that sounded like shit, upgraded the equipment, and moved on. So the original idea of Outside the Cinema is really, I mean, what it is today, 4 years later. It was what we, it's evolved, obviously, but we wanted to just talk about movies, and we wanted to do things to have a good time. It was all about having a good time. It's still about having a good time, as much work as it can be sometimes. Outside the Cinema is about having fun. It's about hanging out, me and Chris hanging out and, having a good time. Somewhere around the mid 50 episodes, Ryan decided he no longer wanted to do the show. We brought Chris in full time. Now, Chris had obviously been a member of the show in friendship, and it appeared on the show a couple times, and he definitely was the go-to guy. He originally was going to become a bigger part of the show as it was. He was going to have his own segment and come in to the studio more often, but he was able to become the full-time co-host with me, and we haven't looked back since. So very excited about doing 200 episodes. We, of course, have done 200 episodes, 200 weeks in a row. And that is something I am extraordinarily proud of. I can't even tell you if there's another show that's done that many in a row without missing any time. I'm sure there is. I'm sure we're not the only ones. But it really, really was a thing that was... I knew that if the show was going to become popular, we needed to be consistent. And I listened to so many different podcasts that I would listen to. You'd get 3 or 4 episodes, and they disappear for a month, and then they come back and do one episode, disappear for 2 weeks, come back, do another episode, then 2 or 3 in a row. And my biggest thing was really being consistent. I wanted our listeners to be able to count on Outside the Cinema each and every week. And one thing I've learned, especially recently because of the me and my big mouth and the things I said a couple weeks ago on the show, that a lot of our fans count on the show to be there. And I had made an offhanded comment of, if we were to walk away in 3 weeks, everyone would move on to another podcast and not care about us anymore. And it became very evident early on, after saying that almost immediately, that's apparently not true. I don't know whether I believe it or not, but people say that the show means a lot to them. They count on it every week. It gets them through their drive to work. It gets them through their Monday afternoons. It gets them through their Tuesday mornings. It gets them through the gym. It's somewhat of a humbling experience to actually have people say that to us. So I really appreciate that. In a chat room, people are talking about some drama we had back on. We had a thing with, or we didn't really actually have a thing with Horror Etc. The guys from Cinema Diabolica did, but it involved us, and the guys from Horror Etc. Chose to only take half of a story and try to make F13 look like an asshole without actually giving the full story of it. And I've still never spoken to those guys. That's a very short version of what happened. But I've never spoken to those guys. Those guys have never spoken to me. I sent them a couple emails back in the day to try to, find out what's going on. I was probably an asshole at the time, but it was more so just to be like, hey, listen, if you guys are gonna talk all this shit, you need to get your facts right, and you need to share your facts with your listeners. And that's something they chose not to do, and I don't have any respect for those guys. I'm not saying that I would never speak to them or anything like that, but I mean, the fact that they ignored emails that were basically calling them out on bullshit that they did just showed how spineless they are. So, and I don't like their show. That's just me. I'm not pulling any punches anymore, guys. It's basically I'm going to say what I want, and Chris is only here in chat room form right now to be able to cull me in. Not that he really culls me in anyway. And most of that horror and all of that Horror Etc. stuff was pre-Chris. That was OTC BC. But what it is what it is, and I'm not over it. I wish I could say I was, but here we are 3.5 years later, and it still comes up. It made me mad because people tried to make my friends look bad. And it didn't work out, but we've done quite well for ourselves, so I guess I can't really complain complain too much about it. So I'm going to get some classic OTC stuff up here. Now, I didn't pick out particular clips. There's a lot of clips coming in the regular show later on tonight. But I definitely wanted to pull out some classic stuff here and play a few things for you guys. Maybe some stuff that hasn't been heard in a while. Maybe some things that we forgot existed. So I guess I want to kind of take a quick look back here at. Let's go back to episode. Let's see. Let's go to the 2-year anniversary episode, which was episode 102. I think was it 102. How many weeks is there in a year? 52. 104 would be that. Now, like I said, I don't have any specific clips or anything put out here, so I'm gonna just kind of I'm gonna open it up. I'm gonna find a spot and we're gonna play a little bit of it, and hopefully you guys will like it.
Cinema uses such coarse
words.
words.
Pause that right there, and let's just go to how about minute 21. How's that sound? Let's take a listen to some of episode number 104, which was our 2-year anniversary show. And this is Chris and Bill, Chris and Bill, yeah, Bill, whatever, talking about some stuff. I believe this is probably in the top 6 list. Let's take a listen, and we will, I guess, hopefully enjoy it.
Of Black Roses, which is my number 5.
Let me alone.
I'll be honest.
Leave me alone.
What?
I forgot all about this one.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love this movie.
When I was looking through it, when I typed out the list, I'm like, oh, Black Roses, I got to remember too. And then I forgot all about it.
Yeah. I've watched it like 3 times since we reviewed it.
I think I did too.
It's unbelievable. I hope everything sounds all right. I feel as though I'm looking at the thing and it looks like we're peaking a lot.
Oh, yeah, huh?
Isn't that weird?
Oh, some of the notes we had on this were just,
This review was a lot of fun to do. Like, the review itself was a lot of fun.
yeah.
Yeah, I loved Black Roses. Loved it. It was so stupid.
It was. Oh, and that guy's dopey stare. He's trying to act all seductive and cool and shit. And how many fucking people got out of that Lamborghini in the beginning?
Like 12.
Jesus Christ, like a clown car for millionaires.
This was a film that, I mean, there's so many shows that have covered this other podcasts that have covered this film. Anytime I see a podcast that covers Black Roses, even if I don't know who the podcast is, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll listen to the review just because of how fucking awesome it is.
Nice.
I've got a
All right,
court
yeah.
order to shut you down. We're going to close this show.
Gonna close the show. Anyway, all right, yeah. So Black Roses, highly recommend Black Roses.
Nice. Nice. All right, let me see here. All right, I'm going to go with one from the second show that I did. It was one of the first lighthearted type blaxploitation movies I saw, and still holds a special place in my heart because it's so fucking goofy, and that's Black Belt Jones.
Cool.
Black Belt Jones was just a shitload of fun. I don't know what to say about it. I mean,
what else are you gonna say?
I don't know. What else can you say about Black Belt Jones? Let me see. I actually have my notes from it. Some of my favorite lines, like "Boy, don't start no communist shit." And then, but there were some really like weird dialogue for something that had like little or no blood in it. Like, I'll make you look like a sick faggot. Like, what the fuck does that mean? I still don't know what that means. I am for real. I don't know. We're gonna turn you into fudge. I don't know. There's just some ridiculous quotes in here.
Rock and roll. Sorry. I'm all out of my. I don't know what's going on.
You're out of sorts?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like the show, because I'm looking at the recording and it looks like it's peaking a lot, and I'm like just totally out of my gourd, and I don't know what's happening.
Okay.
So
everything's all right though.
I know. I told you I did very little planning for this show, and this is usually one of the shows that I would plan the shit out of.
Yeah, but I think on a 2-year anniversary, you're allowed to take a little break there. Because look at everything you did for episode 100.
Oh God, I needed like a nap after that. Anyway, are we gonna move on to my next one?
Well, I recommend everybody see Black Belt Jones.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
There we go.
Black belt roses.
Well, yeah, that would be even awesomer.
Black Roses Jones.
Awesomer. That doesn't make sense.
What, awesomer?
Awesomer.
Most awesome. Dude, I just want to put my hand in that cake. I just want to be like, yum. Chris's wife made us a nice cake for the show's anniversary.
Yep. I hope it tastes good.
I would also hope it tastes good.
Yes.
But either way, it's cake.
That is true.
There's very few cake out there that doesn't taste good. I am for real. All right. All right, my number 4 is kind of a double shot.
Okay.
It's not kind of a double shot. It is a double shot.
Fair enough.
And I don't know whether either of these films will show up on your list, but I enjoyed both of them. Since I started outside the cinema 2 years ago, I've really kind of started to spread my wings into other genres that I didn't know much about. The Giallo was one of those that when I first started the show, I had a basic idea. Like I'd seen Bird with Crystal Plumage and all kind of like Deep Red and like those kind of Argento standards, but I hadn't really dug into them. And since we started the show, I've started watching a lot of them for the show, and then ones not even for the show. But as we've come to find out, the Giallo subgenre is really hit or miss.
Oh, yeah.
It's either really good or it's terrible.
Oh, yeah.
But there was a few that we did over the last year that I just absolutely fell in love with. One of those was from episode 83, starring Edward Fenech and George Hilton.
Okay.
And that was Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward.
Yeah.
Which I absolutely loved. It had a very dark, nasty quality to it. It was a very beautiful film to watch. It was very layered and much deeper than you really kind of got off the beginning of it. And obviously it's got Fenech in it, so like anything that has her in it, no matter how terrible the film was, even like Strip New for Your Killer, as terrible as that film was, it had Fenech in it.
Yeah, and that made it barely tolerable.
Yes. Is that the one where the guy at the end of it is like, I'm going to do you in the ass, and just like flips the girl over and she's like, what's happening?
I believe so.
Crazy. But to kind of couple Strange Vice with another one that I hadn't seen before that I loved, and that was What Have You Done to Solange?
Yeah.
Which is an incredibly underrated.
Barely missed my list.
Yeah, incredibly underrated Giallo. It was one that I'd always wanted to watch, never gotten around to it. And it just excellently crafted film.
Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed
Very
that
well
one.
written, great pacing, flowed well. All of the story elements were able to tie themselves together at the end. It kept you guessing for the most part.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it didn't pull one of those like they pull a color out of a hat at the end of it.
Yeah.
So it
I hate that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. But both of those films, anyone that's looking to get into Giallos, I think both of those films would be kind of good starter ones. I still say like you got to start with like. You didn't obviously start where you should have.
Well, whose fault was that?
That was my fault. That was my fault.
But you know what? Either way, a good one is a good one. So whether you start with a piece of shit or something good, you can tell the difference.
It's true. And it took us a little while to finally find one that you liked.
Yeah.
I think Solange was the first one that we watched that you were really like, I liked that. It was good.
Yeah. Yeah, and then for show 100, I moved on to some other the bigger name stuff. So,
and What Have You Done to Solange was in episode 79.
Okay, yeah.
So, and then we got on a pretty good run. We did those. We did Solange, and we did Strange Vice like a couple weeks later, and even recently, like we did Kill or Must Kill Again, and that was pretty good too.
Yes.
Not the best movie in the world, but decent.
Right.
Not top 6 worthy.
No.
Or is
I'll
it?
give you that.
No, it's not.
All right. There's some clips from our 2-year anniversary episode. I'm just trying to get everything straightened out here. I don't usually deal directly with just the video stuff, so it's a little overwhelming, I guess, if you will. So some of the other stuff I have planned for the pre-show tonight is we tried to get an in-studio guest for tonight to come on and do the show. But he was unable to make it. He had something else going on tonight that he wasn't able to move. We're hoping to get him on the phone soon. And it's Nick Prinsby, who, those of you who don't know the name Nick Prinsby, he is the star, the killer in the slasher films Laid to Rest. He plays Chrome Skull. We met him at Rock and Shock a few weeks ago. Oh, well, a little over a month ago. Incredibly nice guy. We actually have quite a intertwined history between the two of us because we were both in bands that were in the same scene and actually played together a couple times and didn't even realize it. So we're hoping to get him to call in, or we're going to call him in a little while. I spoke to him yesterday, so he's going to do it. We just got to figure out exactly what time, when that will happen. And in the middle of all this, I have to say too that I'm also monitoring my football game, my my fantasy football game. So it's very telling at the time, as you can see. I've got the wife's iPad to monitor the football game. So pretty interesting stuff. I'm currently up by about 6 points. So it's a good deal. I also do have Skype open, so I know some of our podcasting friends, if any of you guys want to Skype into the show, we could probably do that if you wanted to. I know there's a number of guys in the chat room. I saw Jordan was in there earlier. I know Mike from Chinstroker is in there. So if any of you guys want to call in and talk about some stuff, feel free. If you have my Skype name, I think you can just look it up under Outside the Cinema. It should be listed in there. Or just look up my name, Bill Fulkerson. I think it's in there under that too. But there's all kinds of fun stuff going on tonight. So, it is what it is. So do we want to, does anyone want to call in? We can take some calls. I can play some more classic clips. Chat room, you can decide what we want to do next because I'm up for any of it. And of course, if by any of it I mean, any of it. You want me to juggle? All right, you can go fuck yourself, band. Take it right out of the chat room. How'd you enjoy OTC-200, boy parent? I don't know. He banned me halfway through the pre-show. This is why we don't do call-ins or anything anymore, because you do this and then nobody calls. But that's fine. Whatever. Thomas Jane impressions, you say? I don't know. The Thomas Jane impression hasn't been done for quite a while. But I guess I could do it. Is Hung still on? Does anyone know? Is Hung still a show? Is that still? I only watched like half the first season and then never finished it. So that happened. I guess I would, but my voice sounds bad. You guys heard the early. You know what? Okay, this is a perfect time. Murph in the chat room says he'd call in, but his voice sounds bad. Let's talk about voices sounding bad. Let me allow me to open up an old episode of Outside the Cinema. And you want to talk about how bad something sounds. We can talk about how bad something sounds. So let's go to episode 6, which I believe may have been the first or second appearance of the top 6 list. And it was a top 6 list of biggest letdowns. So this is an OTC BC episode. Now be prepared for this. This is going to sound... Well, actually, we've got something probably a little more important calling in.
Hello?
It looks like Reverend Scott's there. Is Reverend Scott there?
I'm here.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm using my actual phone for Skype, so this is weird.
Well, why are you weird?
Because I've never used a phone for Skype.
Well, it's the same thing, isn't it?
Well, I mean, basically, yeah. But it's like a phone, so it's not a microphone, and it's not a computer. It's weird.
Fair enough. Anyone hear anything? Can everyone hear Scott all right? In the chat room?
Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you fine. I don't know about the chat. The chat room.
1 second.
Oh.
I got to turn off this garbage.
Christ almighty.
I just thought I'd call before I got into a no-call zone.
What's a no-call zone?
A zone where my phone doesn't work anymore.
Ah, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm in the midst of a long drive here.
Oh,
so I'm not going to be able to be included in the fun. However, luckily, we planned ahead enough to where we could do something fun for the show later today.
We did. We've got a really well, I'm assuming that it's going to be a really funny segment planned. I haven't actually listened to it yet. I was under instruction to not listen to the Holy Shit 200. Although I know what the basic contents of it are, but I have not listened to it. And I heeded your warning or plea to not listen to it, so I will be hearing it in its entirety in completed form for the first time on the show. Are you there? And Scott dropped out. He was not peaking, but he did drop out. It's gonna be a night, but whatever. He must have entered the no call, the dreaded, yes, Jordan, the dreaded no call zone. All right, well, we'll try to get Scott back on in just a minute, and hopefully he will re-enter the call zone, and we will be able to get him back on in just a moment. But yeah, so going back to early episodes of Outside the Cinema, let me explain what the original setup was for Outside the Cinema and what we did to start podcasting. It's a lot different now because podcasting is much bigger than it was at the time. Podcasting actually kind of had this. There was like this original surgence in podcasting, started by guys like Adam, whatever his name is, that used to be on MTV, that does the show on Mevio, that owns all that stuff. Adam Curry. He's like the godfather of podcasting. He started it all. And there was a lot of shows that kind of came out and did very well there in the beginning. And then either, faded away or, let's try this again. Let's try this again. Did you enter a no call zone?
No. I think my phone tried to connect to a Wi-Fi.
Oh.
And it dropped the call.
Well, that's nice.
So that's gone. Don't worry about that.
Are you sure?
Anyway, so, last thing I heard was you haven't actually heard it yet. So basically, you know the ingredients involved, but you haven't actually tasted the cake yet.
Yeah. It's like cooking up a nice batch of heroin and then not shooting it up.
Yeah. So, you haven't actually, injected it yet.
No.
To see what it's going to feel like.
Well, let me ask you this, Scott, since I have you on the line. What...
Right.
What made you want to become part of OTC? Because you pursued becoming part of OTC. It wasn't like we hired you. You actively wanted to become part of the show, and you created a segment to basically suck off our tit essentially. So what made you want to do that? Where did your history with OTC come from?
Okay, so I guess you guys talked about, I heard one episode. Obviously, you got to start somewhere. And I think it might have been Nail Gun Massacre. That might have been the first episode I saw listed there and listened to. And after I started kind of trying to catch up with other things, you know what? I take that back. I think it was one of the Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS episodes. That was one that the title caught me. I listened to that, and you guys mentioned the Nail Gun Massacre episode. I went back and listened to that, and I listened to a bunch of them in between. And I started accumulating all of these thoughts and ideas having to do with various episodes. You talk about something, you'd ask a question, you'd mention a movie that a top 6 list that caught my eye. So I started writing down ideas and things that you talked about. And I got to the point where I had all this stuff. I'm like, well, I'm just going to have to write in a letter. I got to write something in because I got all this stuff I wrote down that you guys mentioned. And after you guys read my email on the show, and I kind of got the idea that I liked being able to hear direct feedback from you guys on my feedback. That's kind of where that started.
Yeah, no, it's one of those situations with, I know when I first started listening to podcasts, and I didn't really write into any podcasts, and I'm probably the biggest hypocrite in the world for bitching to everyone for not, getting in touch with us, but I listen to a lot of shows that I never ever remotely even put anything into. But I know the first time you hear your feedback read, you get excited. It's like it's a big deal.
Right. And and so I think shortly after that, you guys did a commentary for The Room, yes. And Tommy Wiseau was all over OTC for quite a while, and I happen to know. I wouldn't say I'm close personal friends with Tommy Wiseau, but I know him well enough that I could get him to send you a little brief message. So I had him do that. And I think that was the first bit of audio that I ever sent to you guys.
Yeah, because we didn't know you then.
I didn't even mention who I was.
Yeah, we didn't know you then, because I just remember we got a call out that was like Tommy Wiseau, and it really was Tommy Wiseau. It wasn't you, so.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't me. No.
No, it definitely wasn't you.
No, and I think from there, I did some audio stuff. I think like episode 140, I think, is where things really changed a lot, and where it became like an actual segment, I guess. I mean, before I had done recording and I scripted what I was going to say and recorded it and stuff, but it didn't really become a segment until I found out that you and Mel were going to have a baby. And that's where I like decided to add music, and because I really wanted the music to change for the horrible at a certain part of that message. I think it was episode 140. And that's, and from there I think I continued to keep using that, and we decided that, this actually needs to have a name. And it went from there.
And people love it. They like it more than the regular show.
Well, yeah, and they should. But I mean,
I think more work goes into it.
You should keep doing your show. What's that?
I think more work goes into it than it does into the regular show.
If you don't count, well, I mean, you do have to watch. It depends on how long your movies that you're watching are. I don't have to watch any movies for mine, luckily.
True.
So all that time you spend watching movies, I'm doing other editing. So I guess it kind of evens out in that regard.
True. Now, what are some of your...
You get a lot more out of it than I do. I end up with like 3 to 5 minutes, and you have like 2 hours. So I guess really, I'm not really getting a lot out of my bang for my buck.
Fair enough. Now, Scott, what are some of your favorite bits that you've done for the show? Is there particular ones that stick out in your mind that you're really proud of?
Well, I really like... what's sad, though, is I remember going back and listening to the first Halloween Throwdown, because I wanted to hear what I did a year ago before I did the one for this year. And I remember you saying how you thought the sound quality was really good on the segments that I sent in, and I made a little joke about how I appreciated that and stuff. But when I go back and listen to them now, I think they actually sound better now than they did even back then when I started sending stuff in. And but despite that, I really like that first time I sent in a message about you guys having that baby, and how it was basically going to be the son of Satan. I really liked there's certain things that, like, if people want to know what I do for your podcast, there's certain ones that I don't feel need a lot of build up to listen to, such as I think it's like episode 147 or something like that, where we did our first interview, where I just straight up interviewed you guys in the studio.
Yeah, that was a good one.
The obviously the 3-year anniversary 156.
Yep, the song from that will be in the regular show tonight.
Oh, nice.
Yep, that's one of the break songs.
Yeah, anything with Robert Loggia, I think was especially there was one live show that he called in. It was after the Horror Hound. Yep. Oh, not to mention the actual 26 plus minutes of Horror Hound call-ins.
Yeah, that's great.
That I think the fact that you hate that makes me like it that much more.
Oh, when I saw them coming in, and I told Chris, I go, I don't know what Scott did. I go, but this is not going to go well. And I was like, oh, all right. Yeah, there you go.
I think, and beyond that, there's, I think the Enchanted Saint Charmer of Death, everything about that, I think people thought that was great, and I think that was actually won over 10 times better than I even thought it would when I put it together.
Yeah, that was that's one of my favorites, I think. And the story, I mean, I told the story at the time how the Michael Thor Michelson thing came up originally, but it's funny that we made it something, and Mel was laughing about it because it was just a passing thing that I said, like, as a joke in the car, and I'm like, it came up with the show, and I said something, and then I was like, it'd be really awesome if Scott did something with this, because I knew you could create life to it, and wow, yeah, it was funny.
You knew that if you came up with an idea that was that golden, that I could probably track him down somewhere in the world, even if it was in Sweden.
Hey, do you have on your the page you made with all your feedback on it? How does it go all the way back to the OTC the Halloween Throwdown from last year? Do you remember?
It goes all the way back to episode 126.
126. Let's see. Would it be listed?
It goes all the way back to the very first time you guys read email of mine.
Because I don't see a Halloween one listed. Would it be listed differently?
It might be like 165.5 or something like that.
We got
I can't remember how I labeled it.
Robert Loggia live call-in. What, are you on a motorcycle? Kid intro. I don't see it.
It might not be very long here before my phone loses all signal.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure you knew that I was out here listening as much as I could be today. And
I appreciate that.
I can't wait to actually see/hear the show. And I think that was about it.
Cool. Well, in that case, I'll cut you off before we lose you. And we'll
All
go.
right,
What we'll do is we'll go into.
Have a good show.
Cool. Thank you, man. We're going to go into a classic Reverend Scott bit here. We're going to actually play the Robert Loggia live call-in on an old episode of OTC Live. So that should be fun. So everyone out there, say thanks to Scott. Hit him up on Twitter. Hit him up on Facebook. Thank him for all of the hard work he does for the show. I'm not going to say that we wouldn't have made it to 200 without him, but it wouldn't have been anywhere near as much fun.
It would have been terrible.
How's that for
But
a
it might have
backhanded
happened.
compliment right there?
All right, bud. I'll
Thanks
see
a
you
lot,
later.
Scott. You take care. I'll talk to you soon. Alrighty, so let's play this the Robert Loggia from OTC Live back in May of last year. Let's see here if we can get it to work. No preview. Can we just play it? See if we can just play it. Classic stuff right here. Probably should have gotten a little bit more prepared for it. All right, well, it's queuing up right now. So yeah, no, we love Scott to death. He's a big part of the show. As I said, he has become very intertwined as part of the show, and we love having him do his stuff. And when he was able to come out and hang out with us last year, it was just absolutely the balls. So let's play this.
Harvest? What's this one called? Harvest?
I'll click through on it.
Click.
There's no Blu-ray for it, though.
No?
No.
What is it? Robert Loggia.
Is it really?
I heard that Robert Loggia is going to call in tonight.
Oh,
that could
shit,
be that could be
really?
coming at any moment.
Let's see. Harvest is a superbly acted triumph. Oh, that's a review. I don't know. Product description?
Well, I did know. I got a
Gathered one summer in a beautiful shoreline town, 3 generations are drawn together by their patriarch, played by Oscar nominee Robert Loggia.
Robert Loggia.
With endearing moments of humor and uplifting spirit, Harvest is a portrayal of a family awkwardly yet delicately hanging on to what was, what now is, and to one another. It's one of them movies I don't watch.
It's funny that we brought up Robert Loggia.
Yeah.
Hello.
Because we've got him on the phone right now.
That was fast.
Hello.
Is this Robert Loggia?
This is Robert Loggia.
Good to have you on the show, Robert.
I think this is my show, isn't it?
It could be.
It should be. Fuck.
So, Robert, when we were trying to coordinate, because we brought you up on our show last week.
Thank God.
Yeah, I know. Outside the Cinema was not a real show until Robert Loggia came up on it. Am I right?
No, it will never be a real show without Robert Loggia.
This is true. So, Robert, I thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule of making the film Harvest.
Fucking busy. Hurry up.
You're wasting his time.
Jesus Christ.
No one wastes Robert Loggia's time. So, Robert, tell us about this film that we're talking about that you got coming out on DVD this week called Harvest.
I have an agent. Okay?
Okay.
He books me movies, and I go in there and I talk like this. And then I fucking leave and I get a paycheck.
That's pretty
You understand me?
I understand you.
That's all I know.
So
They don't even give me a script anymore.
Well, do they
They
try?
just say Robert Loggia. be in my fucking movie. I say, okay. That's it. I don't know any more than that.
Well, was
I
it?
just yell and scream and they flinch.
Yeah.
Well, maybe. I mean, Robert, you've been in some great films. One of them being Scarface, another being Prizzi's Honor.
Another
Yeah,
being Innocent
I think
Blood.
so.
You think so? What? So, looking back at your career, what do you think is the role that most defines Robert Loggia?
Necessary roughness. Did you see that one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Am I talking too loud?
No, we can hear you fine.
Okay.
We have a filter that's the Robert Loggia filter. So when you get too loud, it automatically adjusts your levels.
Am I peaking? Because I don't care. Robert Loggia has his own voice, and you have to hear it. I was in Necessary Roughness with Keanu Reeves. I wasn't with Keanu Reeves. He was with me. And Sinbad.
Well, I don't want to burst your bubble, Robert, but Keanu Reeves wasn't in Necessary Roughness.
Oh, wait a minute. That must be that other shitty one that I wasn't in.
It was still about football, though.
Yeah, fuck that movie. Think about Scott Bakula.
This is 100% true.
I try not to talk about him because he owes me fucking money.
How much money does he owe you?
$62.
$62. What could Scott Bakula possibly owe Robert Loggia $62 for?
A stripper.
A stripper?
An ugly stripper. She was fucking terrible. But Scott Bakula ain't got shit going on.
What's your favorite Scott Bakula role?
He was in a TV show. I like that one.
Would that be Quantum Leap?
Or Enterprise.
That's true, yeah. Or Enterprise. Or what's that show with like all the old guys on TNT right now?
Cocoon?
Oh, Men of a Certain Age.
Cocoon. I think I was in that one. I don't remember.
Well, so when you were on set for Necessary Roughness, other than hookers and strippers, tell us about Kathy Ireland.
Kathy Ireland. Let me tell you one thing in particular about Kathy Ireland. She knows which trailer was Robert Loggia's. Do you know what I mean by that when I say that?
Oh, I know what you mean.
She likes to play chess like I do.
Are you a
Maybe
good?
you didn't understand me. Chess with penis.
What about Tom Hanks? You were in.
What about him?
You were
He's
in
a
Big.
hack.
You were in Big with Tom Hanks.
I guess so.
Did Robert Loggia know just how special an actor Tom Hanks was?
He was kind of a dick.
Tom Hanks? Tom Hanks seems like a
Yeah,
really
just
nice
little
guy.
bit. After that scene, he did a scene with a giant piano. And he thought he was hot shit after that.
Well, you did that scene with him. So, wouldn't that have kept him grounded?
Yeah, he fucking was chewing up fucking scenery. I didn't like it.
Nobody plays over Robert Loggia.
No. No one plays any fucking piano better than Robert Loggia.
This is true.
Especially with their feet.
This is
No.
true.
I wanted to do it on my hands. They wouldn't let me.
I would think Robert Loggia would want to play the piano with his penis.
Yeah, it's like a third leg. 3 legs I was going to use. They didn't let me.
It's crazy. Hey,
They
Robert,
said this isn't rated X.
I want to thank Robert for joining us, but I know you've got another special guest at your house. You're staying with Reverend Scott currently, correct?
Yeah, in his mansion. It's huge.
That sounded sarcastic.
I'm Robert Loggia. I have so much money, it's retarded. I know a mansion when I see one.
Robert, would it be all right for us to speak with Scott for a few minutes?
Hold on. Can you wait a minute?
Sure.
Are you too fucking busy to wait?
No, we can wait for Robert Loggia.
Jesus Christ. Hold on. Hey, asshole!
Hello.
Hey, man.
Hi.
Are you safe?
I'm all right now.
I'm a little worried.
I gave him a bottle of Jack Daniels and he walked away.
Fair enough. So, Scott,
Yeah.
you haven't heard the show yet for this week.
No,
but
not yet.
No, we got a call from a listener who was not at all happy about the hijacking of the voicemail segment last week.
Wait a minute.
Hard to believe.
It was
I know.
only 26 extra minutes.
26?
Well,
Yes.
in addition to our normal feedback.
Yes.
And it just so happens the normal 2-hour show was 2 hours and 26 minutes. I think that's a coincidence.
So, I mean, so you had an adventure at Horror Hound, but overall, though, how was Horror Hound in terms of the actual Horror Hound event?
Horror Hound was, well, I'd say it's probably everything you'd expect it to be. It's just as entertaining, just as pathetic, and just as fun as you'd ever want it to be.
That's pretty much horror conventions in a
That's pretty much conventions.
nutshell, yeah.
Because it doesn't matter how much of a nerd you think you are. There's another fucking level. There's always another, or maybe another 3 levels of nerd beyond you.
I don't know if that's
No matter who you are.
6 or 7 levels.
Yes. When you see people walking around with puppets and someone else is talking to the puppet, asking them what the puppet's names are, and they're trying to talk to them in the puppet voice using their actual voice, I don't know. It was fucking weird.
Yeah, I like conventions, and I love when we do Rock and Shock, and we obviously want you to try to come out to Rock and Shock if we can make that work. But as a convention goer, I don't know if I can do it.
No, I need a place to sit down.
Yeah.
Because I'm
Well,
old.
I don't know. Well, I mean, they had a lobby there, and you could go sit in tables and stuff like that, and it was kind of like a universal area to kind of sit around in or whatever. It was in between all the separate rooms, so that was kind of cool. That was kind of like the Saturday night thing. Everybody brought their BYOB and sat around. I don't remember much about Friday. That was Saturday. Oh, I remember Saturday.
So legit though, you had a good time.
Yes, I don't regret going.
Nice.
I may later. But at this moment, I don't regret going. I don't suppose you heard from anyone else.
A couple people.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Apparently there's a hospital
Oh, boy.
that's looking for you.
What, $14,000?
$14,000 or so.
Ooh, that sounds expensive.
It
I
does.
wonder if Robert Loggia has any extra walking around money with him.
That is walking around.
That is
money.
walking around money. I lose.
Asshole, fuck you!
I lose money clips that
No.
I don't even care about.
Give me any.
That's R for Robert Loggia. Oh my God, it's Robert Loggia.
I don't even remember why he came up on the other show.
I don't either. Why did he come
I just
up?
know he did. It was important, I think.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Did we cover? We didn't cover anything he was in, did we?
Oh God, no.
No, I would doubt it.
No, I mean,
Shouldn't say that so loud.
He doesn't know what you're talking about.
No. He's watching Matlock. He's not going to pay attention to what I'm talking about.
I love Matlock and Kool-Aid. The cherry one.
I do my impression of him, but it's not very good.
Well, you can't do an impression of him when I'm sitting right there.
No.
Asshole, what are you doing?
If it's not very good, he might not know what you're doing.
That's true. You might think I'm doing a shitty Rosie O'Donnell retard voice.
Do you like chicken fingers? Because I don't.
24 cans of soda for $6. You gotta go there.
This we're gonna do a commentary to that at some point.
You can come to dinner with me and Jesse, but you have to pay.
I can't find the quote that I saw. I watched a little thing. It was like all these awesome clips from the movie, and she says something about Oreo cookies
Oh,
on a bus.
Would you like a cookie? It's chocolate flavored.
That
No,
one.
there's another one. She's like, "Do you like Oreo cookies? Because I do." Something like that.
I'm sad. For you.
But I'd say overall, as far as Horror Hound's concerned, I think there was plenty to do there for at least one entire full day. And the rest, I'm really glad there was lots of people there that I wanted to go see and talk to, because that really like filled up. That was like two out of 3 days was just talking to people, meeting people, talking to fans of all these different podcasts, even people who knew who I was.
It's weird. The first time that happens, it's weird.
Yeah.
That's fucking weird.
When we did the first time we did Rock and Shock, and we actually had a couple listeners come up, and this was back when Ryan was still on the show, and it was like, oh yeah, I listen to you guys every week. This show's awesome, man. And I'm like, whoa, shit just got real.
Hey, we weren't talking about Robert Loggia because we talked about Over the Top.
Oh, maybe it was.
I think that's what it was.
Is Over the Top on Blu-ray yet?
It is actually, I think.
Ooh.
It's only
he turns his hat around and becomes a machine.
It's true. And the little boy from Daryl is in it.
Oh.
I think that kid was in Daryl. I don't know.
Doesn't matter. He looks the same.
It's true. It's true. Well, all right, Scott. Start clearing off your October calendar to come up here for Rock and Shock.
I think I had talked to the wife a little bit about the possibility of the Cincinnati Horror Hounds in November. I don't know. Maybe we can see what's going on.
Well, ours is more important.
Mm-hmm.
I know this.
Because we'll give you a place to stay, and it'll be in a hotel room across the street from the convention. But, yeah, I'd rather have you up here for that one if we could get you up here, because we broadcast the whole weekend, and I get really bored, so...
Well, if I can figure out what the wife's going to do.
She can come, too. I don't even care.
Well, I know she wants to go. I just don't know what she's going to do.
She can hang out with my wife, and probably my kid at that point.
That's true.
Well,
she
I hope
likes
your kid's
babies.
born by then.
So we'll bring Eric and Emily will be there, and we'll just pass the kid off on all the women the whole time, and we'll just stand there and stare at Tom Savini the whole time.
Oh, maybe you know what? Soon, very soon, before we come back, I think they'll start announcing people, because don't they start doing it in like April? She said spring.
We'll be lucky. Maybe June or July before we start seeing names. But anyway.
I could lie to her and tell her that a band she wants to hear is going to be playing there.
Yeah, tell her Gore is going to be there. Because they probably
I don't think
will
that's
be.
going to work.
Tell her.
I don't suppose Dave Matthews Band's going to be playing.
As a matter of fact, they just confirmed.
Oh, I'll let her know that they'll be dumping sewage on the way to Rock and Shock and want to play there.
It's true. Rock and Shock's fun though, because there's a lot going on. I mean, it's a different type of convention than the other ones. I don't know, because I've never been to another one.
Yeah, I've been to a couple sci-fi ones, but
Buy my sci-fi MogCon, or whatever the hell it is.
I will say at Rock and Chuck there are less vendors than other conventions I've been to.
Well, that was just last year, though.
No, I mean in general. Like,
oh, okay.
I've been to ones where like there are no famous people, and it's just fucking vendors.
Yeah, they get a lot of good. They do get a lot of good guests.
Yeah, and it picks up steam. It gets bigger than it did the year before. So
yeah. Last year,
I don't know. They got a lot to live up to. Horror Hound had Corey Feldman.
Well, he'll be dead, so it won't matter.
Well, 2 years ago they had Corey Haim, but now he is dead.
Yeah, Feldman's not showing up because that's a fucking kiss
I
of
saw
death.
Feldman. I'm not convinced that he's not dead.
Well, when we met Haim, we weren't convinced either, so it kind of goes.
And you were right.
Yeah. It's kind of like Weekend at Bernie's 3.
Only better.
All right, guys.
Thanks,
I think
Scott.
I told you as much as I have to tell you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Robert fell asleep. So
yeah, tell Robert we thank him for coming on the show.
Okay, I'll see if he can do it some other time.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Scott. Later.
Peace and love. Bye-bye.
All right. Good to talk to Scott.
Oh, yeah.
And I know momentarily.
All right, that was Robert Loggia's appearance and Reverend Scott's appearance from OTC Live way back in, I believe, sometime last year. It doesn't really matter exactly when. But so I was talking about before we actually had Scott call in kind of the early times of OTC and those how the show was recorded originally. As we've said before, we're nominated for 2 different podcast awards 2 years in a row for Best Produced. Not that that means anything, as any of you that have heard my Todd Cochran rants knows. It doesn't really mean anything. But, you know, we take a lot of pride in the way the show sounds. So knowing what the show sounds like now, which I'm very happy with. I think it's a very professional sounding show. It sounds as good as I think as anything you would hear on terrestrial radio or, anything like that. But I do feel that it's nice to kind of pull the curtain back and give you guys an idea of what the show sounded like when we first started. And to give you an idea of what we used when we first started. So, obviously, when I was starting the podcast, I didn't necessarily want to invest too much money right up front until I knew that it was going to work and that we were going to want to keep doing it. So, the original recording setup for Outside the Cinema was actually 2 headset mics purchased from Best Buy. They were Dynexes. I believe they were $9.99 a piece. And the way that I ran those into the computer for the microphone was through a headphone splitter into just the little 3/4 inch jack that all computers have for a microphone input. And that's what we did. And we used, I think, Audacity. I think it was because Audacity was free. And Audacity is a great program. I still use Audacity for a lot of things. But we didn't have like a mixer or, quote unquote real microphones, not even USB microphones. I mean, we had the cheapest headset mics that they had in the place, put through a $1.99 headphone splitter into the back of my old computer too. I mean, like I don't even think it had a gig of RAM. I think it had like half a gig of RAM or something. It was unbelievable how poor it was. And that's how we recorded. I want to say probably the first maybe 8 or 9 episodes were recorded like that. And then I immediately knew that I didn't want to sound like that. And then F13 started giving us a hard time. But then he was like, what you guys could do for a cheap setup and stuff. And then eventually we got regular microphones. We got a mixer. And I'm a firm believer that if you're going to do podcasting with multiple people hosting, you need to have a mixer and microphones, because it just makes it easier, because you can level everyone up and down and things like that. So it's an important thing. But to give you guys an idea of what we started with, that compared to what it is now, it's really it's funny. And we've upgraded multiple times. My first mixer I bought was a straight USB mixer that had I think it was 4 inputs. I have then upgraded to a better one, and I've upgraded to an even better one now. I've got a Mackie Pro that I use, and then a Shure SM7, which is the same type of microphone that Michael Jackson recorded Thriller on. And the only reason I know that is because the guy at Guitar Center, when I was looking to buy it, told me that 3 times. Oh, that's the same microphone that Michael Jackson recorded all his vocals for Thriller on, right? I was like, okay. How does it sound? You've heard Thriller, right? That's pretty much how the conversation went. Then I said, yes, but how would it sound for talk radio? Pretty good. Okay, fine. Bag it up. But yeah, so we've made leaps and bounds since these early episodes. And so I'm gonna play a little bit of a clip here from an early episode, just to give you guys an idea of where the show has gone in terms of sound quality and content. So this is an OTC BC clip. I'm actually going to play the first few minutes of an episode, and try not to get too angry. Here is a chunk of episode 6 of Outside the Cinema. Hello, and welcome back to Outside the Cinema. This is Bill.
This is Ryan.
And we are here yet again for another
weekly dose of useless movie
Whoa,
knowledge.
whoa, wait a minute. Actually, that sounds better than I thought it was going to. That's probably... So I actually upgraded the stuff earlier on than I thought I did. It's episode 6. All right, let's go back to episode 2. Let's see what episode 2 sounds like. Yes, episode 2. This should go pretty terribly.
I want to come home. I am so sorry. I am so lonely here. Can you forgive me?
Hey again, this is Bill.
This is Ryan.
And we're here with this week's episode of Outside the Cinema, our second podcast. First one went fairly well.
Yeah.
Few complaints, but you know the masses did not show up in my house with burning steaks and stuff. So
I got a few bricks through the window, but that's every week, really, at this point.
well, knowing where you live, it doesn't surprise me at all. So, all right, this week on the show, what we're going to do is we're going to have start the show off with some news stories. Got my top 5 news stories from the world of horror and underground cinema this week, and then we're going to go into a discussion with a new format we're going to work with John Carpenter films, where we're each going to list off our 5 favorite John Carpenter films and then kind of go through a discussion with them and what we like and what we don't like about John Carpenter. So, why don't we roll right into the news, right?
Okay.
And now presenting this week's top news stories. All right, top story of the week in the world of horror for me is apparently Midnight Pictures announced their latest project, a film called 25/8, which is and the thing what's making this big news for me, and I'm sure you'll be pretty psyched about this, is film will be written and directed by Wes Craven. First time in a while he's been attached to something that he's going to write and direct. I know he's produced a number of films. Basically, the premise for this film they're saying right now is, as legend has it, a notorious serial slayer will return to the sleepy community of Riverdale to finish off the 7 children born on the night he purportedly died. Sounds familiar. Stalking the children of the people that killed him, huh?
Well, you go with what works, man. And let's face it, with horror, there's not a whole lot of new ideas floating around. You just go back to that well.
You know, with the talk of the Nightmare on Elm Street remake coming out and them announcing that Wes Craven is going to be directing this film, it's nice to see that kind of classic throwback there. Whether it'll be something that'll come together well is another entire story. I'm personally a big Wes Craven fan. I think anyone that's into horror movies at some point, you know, has obviously watched a Wes Craven film, has gotten into stuff that he's done. He single-handedly helped bring the horror movie back in the mid-'90s with the Scream series. Which, regardless of what people say about them, we spoke a little bit about Scream last week in the show, but other than the third Scream film, they're great movies. He revitalized the whole horror genre in the 90s.
Yeah. His characters are staples. You know, when you talk about, everyone knows Freddy. Every kid at some point dressed up as Freddy for Halloween.
It's true.
Or just on a lazy August day, maybe.
Funny story. My parents would not let me buy the Freddy Krueger glove.
Are you serious?
Yep. I snuck out to a place called New England Stores in Ipswich, Mass. It's no longer there. It's now a Star Market. But they had the Halloween section. They had a Freddy glove, and I rode my bike to Ipswich from lovely Brawley, Massachusetts, which isn't exactly close. But when you're
it's a good hike.
When you're like 11 years old and you want a Freddy Krueger glove, you are going to do whatever it takes to get that Freddy Krueger glove.
The funniest part about that story is except for the bike part, the exact same thing happened to me as a kid. I was dressing up for Freddy for Halloween. It's some of my favorite movies.
despite my parents thinking I didn't see them ever. And I was dressed up as Freddy, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get the glove, and they wouldn't buy me the glove because they thought it was, a bad influence or, something a kid shouldn't be like joking around with. This knife glove. So they bought me a giant fake plastic bloody axe instead.
It's a fair trade-off.
Well, not only does that not make sense because they thought a knife glove was a bad influence, so they gave me a big fake bloody axe to play with.
What's up, Legionnaires? This is Bill from OutsideTheCinema.com, and you're listening to Cinema Diabolica with F13 and DZ.
I had to cut that clip. I had to cut that episode that there because I can't listen to those old shows. And we're gonna have Michael Neel joining us momentarily. And I'm very glad that he's be able to call in. You can call now if you like that right there. So Michael Neel's gonna be calling in, but I would go back and I listen to those old episodes, and I don't understand how any of you guys liked the show. I mean, and I'm really hard on myself too when it comes to basically what we do on the show, and I get very discouraged when I'm not happy with what I'm hearing. So it gets really tough sometimes, and especially going back and hearing those. Like, there's been a lot of times where I've wanted to just take those completely offline in general, because I don't want to hear them anymore because I get very let down. But obviously the show is gone leaps and bounds better. I look back at them, I guess fondly, but as many people know, Ryan decided to leave the show at a certain point, and we needed to change things up. And at the point where he decided to leave, he wasn't happy with the show, and he just wasn't really that into it. And it is what it is. So we're going to be talking to Mike in about 10 minutes. Michael Neel, probably the closest thing we have to go-to guest host. We'll be calling him momentarily. But so the show, he wasn't into it, and props to him for stepping away rather than letting it die slowly. He was, and the bringing Chris into this was definitely something that I felt needed to be done. So regardless of what happened with the show, Chris was going to be a part of it. Chris had showed up on a number of episodes before that. He had guest hosted a couple times. He had done some segments. He did the Godzilla segment on the Godzilla OTC CD spectacular that we did, which I would love to play something from. And I know I have it somewhere. It's just a matter of tracking it down and finding it. But Chris obviously has been a friend of mine for a long, long time. I've known Chris a lot longer than I had known Ryan. And me and him met working together at a Blockbuster Video when I was probably about 16 years old, and he was a couple years older than me, and he was the manager at the time. And we just instantly bonded over the love of weird cinema and horror movies and Star Wars and all of those things that young gentlemen that are into finding more about obviously gravitate towards. It's the same thing in the music scene. So it's the type of thing where it was the right time. It was like it was good. It was good. And Chris has been a really good friend of mine for a long time, and he's become the other host that should have been part of this show. So I'm trying to find some of the OTC CDs, the old ones here, outside the Cinema Diabolica 2. Let's play. Let's get ready to actually play. Let's play a little bit of this OTC CD, and we will be back with Michael Neel in a couple minutes. Michael Neel, of course, of Drive-In Horror Show fame, will be with us. But here is Diabolica 2.
Broadcasting from a project studio that's more project than studio.
Time again for your weekly dose of horror,
exploitation, Eurocrime, and worldwide cult cinema.
This is Outside the
Cinema Diabolica
with your hosts Bill and
F13.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Dude, what are you doing? I'm right here.
I'm pretending to be you.
Don't. There's only one, and thank God for that.
All right, then you can kick it off.
All right. Hey. What's up, everybody? It's, actually, I have no idea what day it is, but this is Outside the Cinema Diabolica Part 2. I'm F13.
I'm Bill by Force.
And we're going to be doing a special for you guys this week. We're covering Nazi-exploitation.
Your favorite.
Oh, yeah, it is my favorite. And we've got a very special interview with the producer, director, marketer, wizard, dungeon master, all sorts of stuff for the brand new Nazi-exploitation film Blitzkrieg, Escape from Stalag 69.
And yes, the year is 2008, I might add.
Yeah, seriously, we're coming out with new Nazi-exploitation films in this day and age. The interview went really well. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, great dudes.
Seriously good dudes. Really nice, too.
Definitely. Which you would be, kind of surprised by two guys making a movie about Nazi concentration death camps.
Right. You know what's funny about that is you watch the film, and it's not like your normal Nazi exploitation films where they're sexploitation films with like Nazi themes. This one was kind of a little lighter on the softcore porn aspect of it, and more like into like the historical Nazi party accuracy. So I was going into it, I was kind of like, I really hope these guys aren't like remnants of the SS. They're like, AWOL SS officers.
Yeah, I was taken for a loop too. I expected there to be a lot more sex, and it wasn't. I mean, there's plenty of nudity. There's sex. There's blood, but it wasn't as over the top as I was expecting.
Yeah, which made me like it a lot more than I think some of the other schlocky garbage that's out there. Like something I spoke about with the director producer. The Rob Zombie bullshit. What was it called? Werewolf Women of the SS. I was really disappointed in that when I saw it in the Grindhouse trailers.
Great idea, poor execution.
Extremely poor execution.
But extremely good idea.
Yeah, definitely. So we've got an overview in the first segment here of the entire Nazi-exploitation genre, kind of a primer for those of you that aren't as familiar. And then after the break, we go into the interview with the gentleman, and we'll be going over a special contest that the listeners out there will be privy to. Bill, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, anyone that's an outside the cinema fan knows that we run a monthly contest, and we're going to be adding a whole bunch of stuff to the prize bucket, if you will, for June. So we'll get into that when we get into the interview.
Definitely. So I guess that's pretty much it.
Yeah, why don't we take a quick break, and then we'll roll into a general overview. And we've put together a top 6 list like we do on our show, so it should be pretty fun.
All right, so we'll see you guys after this short break.
Who loved with fierce, demanding passion.
I'd gotten a number of requests for some of the Godzilla stuff that we did with them, which is what I wanted to play originally. And I definitely is that even a word? Here have the Cinema Diabolica episode that we did with them.
Go to lunch. 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 Go to lunch.
His mama's straight. You're looking happily deranged. Or have you been your target?
I am so safe in that
Broadcasting from a project studio that's more project than studio. It's Cinema Diabolica. your weekly glimpse into the sleazy underbelly of horror, giallo, exploitation, Eurocrime, and worldwide cult cinema. And now, here's your hosts, F13 and DZ.
Hey, what's up, bitches? It's, that thing with the thing time again. It's Cinema Diabolica. I'm F13.
I'm DZ.
And this week we're covering some Godzilla films.
We're not doing it alone.
We're not doing it alone. We brought these two homeless guys in, and they're right over there in the corner.
For the record, not the first time I've been called that.
Today? Or
ever since employment?
A little bit of both.
A little from column A, a little from column B.
Did you guys spare some change?
I'll spare your change.
I have this spindle of clothing.
Spindle?
Spindle.
A bindle? Ugh, epic fail. Right at the top of the show. Awesome.
I'm good at it. And there's nothing I'm better at than failing.
I brought him with me, sorry. My name's Ryan.
I'm Bill.
From outside the cinema.
It's outside the cinema. Joining us here in beautiful 13 Scar Studios. We're going to be covering some Godzilla films today. DZ, what films are we doing?
We're doing Godzilla's Revenge.
A.K.A. something else?
Minya, I don't know. What? No,
Epic
there's
fail part 2, right at the top of the show.
What are you talking about?
Attack of the Monster. Attack all monsters, or all monsters
all
attack.
Monsters
all monsters attack. Godzilla's leverage. Minya, son of Godzilla. Fuck you.
Thing. And also we're covering Destroy All Monsters, which in my opinion is probably the quintessential of the first.
Do you see the sheer volume of notes I have for this one? And it goes over here.
People, he has 7 of the giant notebooks that little girls write their journals in.
They're my Mexican laptops.
And I noticed I took a peek in it, and the first couple lines say "Dear Diary," and then I was like, I don't want to read anymore because I'm going to find out all kinds of stuff that I don't want to know. And it's just,
why are these pages sticky?
It's at this point it's just better if I close it.
I can fan them. Look, I'm going to riffle them.
So let's see here. What else is? Yeah, good work. It's not a visual medium. Let's see. So what's on the? The Cinema Diabolica movie was just greenlighted.
Oh, nice.
The casting information. We've got Antonio Banderas is going to play me, and Donkey Lips from Salute Your Shorts is going to play you.
Hey, he had an outstanding part in Dude, Where's My Car and that amped energy drink commercial. He will give you an awful waffle.
In the third segment this week, we're also going to be covering kind of an overview of the Godzilla universe, the 3 series, the Showa, the Heisei, and the Millennium. We're going to be covering the original Godzilla film in all of its different incarnations. We'll get into more of that later. And we're going to be closing that segment out with a real special thing that Bill's thrown together for us on some unmade movies and unused monsters, which I thought was fucking awesome. I got a little sneak peek of it, and I think it's going to be awesome.
Respect.
A lot of people have been writing in about this show, really excited for it, so I'm really going to do my best to put my complacency aside and make a good show for you guys this week. I'm really going to try.
Don't bring this shit down.
I'm really trying, so we'll see how that goes.
And don't forget to check out Outside the Cinema because we cover more.
The other half of this extravaganza is on their show, where we covered Final Wars and Monster Zero. That went pretty damn well. Lots of eggs were returned. If
not all of them.
Yeah.
We should just reference our show on their show constantly.
Whatever works. If you go to OutsideTheCinema.com, you can hear more about that.
Like, remember when we said this and it was really funny?
Let's see. I guess that's really it. Didn't plan enough to fill out the intro again this week.
That's because we didn't pre-pick our movies for next week. So
that's a good point. Yeah.
But on our show next week, you can check out Vertigo and Frenzy.
I'm going to have to write you about some of
Hitchcock.
that. Hitchcock
yeah.
is...
I'm stoked on that. I'm really excited to listen to that, as opposed to usually. Let's see. Thank you very much for joining us. And we'll be right back after this short break.
So that's a little taste of one of the Outside the Cinema Diabolicas we did. I really highly recommend going back and re-listening to those if you can at some point. So... we're gonna get talking to Michael Neel in just one moment. Michael Neel, obviously, good friend of the show, has become an integral part of the show. We wanted to actually have him come in for episode 200, but being the holiday weekend, he was traveling, but he's been able to get to a place where we can talk to him, and I guess we'll do that momentarily. It's gotta take care of things here. Let's see. Here we go. And we'll do this. And we'll call Michael Neel. And we'll call Michael Neel, and we'll call Michael Neel, and we'll call Michael Neel.
Oh, hi, Bill.
Oh, hi, Michael Neel. How are you?
I am fine, thank you. I already ordered a pizza.
What's going on, man?
Not too much, man. How you doing? Happy
just,
200th.
Yeah, well, the 200th pre-show is what you're featuring, what you're featured on.
Yes, of course.
I'm doing 10 things at once here. I'm planning something super special right now for everybody in the chat room. Michael, my good friend, and I can honestly say that you've become a good friend of mine personally and as of the show, which I guess speaks a lot about Outside the Cinema and what it does for people, right?
Oh, for damn sure, man. Definitely.
So tell me about the first time you met me and how awesome it was.
It was pretty awesome. We were at Rock and Shock 2009. My film, Drive-In Horror Show, was playing.
Available where?
The first 3 tales upstairs. What's that?
Available where?
Available at driveinhorrorshow.com. Please add us to your Netflix queue. We should be on there now. I don't know why we're not, but keep saving us to your Netflix queue. We will be eventually.
Why don't you just go out and buy it?
Yeah, go out and buy it. Come on. Don't be a little bitch. Go out and buy the movie. And we came by your table, and you guys were broadcasting from Rock and Shock. It was your second year? Is that right? Second year
I think it was the second year we were there, because Chris was with me, right?
Yeah, Chris was there.
Yes, second year.
Yep. And we walked around, and we actually had you take pictures with Zombie Frank, our ticket taker from Drive-In Horror Show. And we gave you a copy of the movie, and you said, yeah, sure, we'll check it out. And then you called me up and asked me to come on the show, which was definitely an honor. And it was my first podcast I'd ever done.
Was it really?
I was a little nervous, actually, to be honest.
You'd never done that was really your first one? You never done one before?
Nope.
Oh,
nope.
Wow,
I mean, I talked like crazy, to people that would listen about movies, but I'd never done something that was in the genre before. So, no, I hadn't done it at all.
That's amazing. That's awesome. You did unbelievably well then, considering you had never been on one before.
well, thanks, man. I used to be an actor as a kid in children's theater, and I used to talk to anybody. So I can usually talk and not need to shut up, which you guys know by now. But no, it was cool. And you guys were the first. You guys were the second people to ever review our movie. The first was Fangoria, and then you guys, and it was cool, man. I mean, you're getting on your show kind of started our whole, or mine anyway, whole kind of grassroots promotion through podcasts and reviewers, and that's really what's driven our movie. I mean, our label's done a great job getting it out there, but they can only do so much. None of us have a huge advertising budget, and shows like yours, I think, is a huge reason why we're getting a good following,
Definitely. I mean, I really think that people, especially, I shouldn't say, the guys on the indie level, guys like yourself and Greg, get it. But I think it's the people that are, bigger, just don't understand what, podcasts and websites and blogs and what the internet can do, a grassroots campaign can do for a film. Because I get snubbed by more higher level people than indie filmmakers. Every indie filmmaker is like, well, I shouldn't say every, knock on wood. Most of them are very easy to deal with because I'm like, when we started working together, I was able to deal directly with you guys. I didn't have to go through a publicist and go through this person and go through that person. And we got the film, we reviewed the film, we spoke to you guys, and it's like, it was so much easier.
Yeah, sure. Well, and it is huge for us. I got to say, by the way, I still remember when you guys were reviewing the film with me on the air. I remember, Chris, at one point you turned to me. It was for something you didn't like very much. I think it was in The Watcher, and you looked at me and said, I've never had to say this, like, to critique a movie to someone, while they're sitting there, talking to the filmmaker. I always thought that was kind of cool, just personally. But no, man, I mean, for an indie filmmaker, that's what it's all about. I mean, especially going to the conventions, too. Right before I saw you guys at Rock and Shock, I'd been to Monster Mania. It was just, and what else? Chiller was just beginning to get into the convention thing, and that's really, I mean, where it's at. We haven't even bought booths at the last couple conventions. We just gone and hung out. We hung out with you guys at Rock and Shock, and just at this point, just trying to become active in the horror community and the podcasting reviewing community, and just hang out with friends. Like I've met all these great people now. It's awesome.
No, yeah, like this year, like Rock and Shock, you just hung out with us all weekend. Leave all, dump your flyers and hang out. And I love that we've been able to do that with so many cool people we've met. Guys like you and Greg, and like Christy from Fright Rags, who's
she's awesome.
She's become a great friend to us. And that's, I mean, people, when I made that, I don't know whether did you hear episode 198 when I kind of went on a rant and kind of tore a bunch of people up and was like, I hate all of you, and like,
No.
Right, good. I'm glad. Don't.
I think I downloaded it from iTunes.
If you can, please don't listen to it because I'm quite embarrassed about it now. I basically was just like,
Okay.
I'm very let down by, the lack of not appreciation, but lack of, people getting in touch with us and people using our Facebook and this stuff. And I'll tell you, I was put in my place by our listeners because
Really?
Chris and I got flooded with emails. And like this is, I don't know. I know you're not watching the video probably, but everyone that's looking in the chat room, these are all emails just for show 200 tonight. On top of the fact that I have 20-something voicemails too. So, hats off to everyone getting involved and stuff. But so, Mike, you've been on the show a bunch of times, and I know you've been, you're a listener, you're a fan as much as you are, a part of the show. What are some of your favorite OTC moments that you remember? What are some of your favorite memories?
Oh, geez. Well, there's a couple that we had together. One was the first time that I ever brought up a movie that you guys loved that I hated, which for me is always the most fun conversation with anybody. But I believe the first one was Aliens, which I know I keep giving you shit about, and especially after our long and lengthy discussion at Rock and Shock, Chris even brought up in the recap and told me to keep my mouth shut. So I just, I can't help it. But that was cool. I remember I really liked when I came in and Bill, had recommended for me to see Battle Royale, and I saw it and was really underwhelmed, and I said so pretty emphatically. And then you said afterwards that you thought Day of the Dead, the original Romero Day of the Dead, was totally overrated, and Randy Katzen called in furious, and we ended up having a really good discussion about it. But it's one of those things that part of what I love about the show is that everyone's so passionate, but not so passionate that they're just going to blindly start slinging shit everywhere and not listen to people. And that to me is the best because everyone's opinionated, but also well-informed, so it makes for interesting conversation. There was, holy shit with Rev Scott is always awesome, of course. There's one I remember when I was on, where we were talking about men with hats, and it somehow got into midgets with hats and midgets without hats, and who could be the top midget, like midgets fighting each other wearing hats. And Bill, you did the safety dance, which was absolutely amazing.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and just from a listener perspective, I love the music shows. They're always good, especially because you guys know way more about music than I do. Like I have a pretty decent range of music, but nothing like what you guys do. So it's always cool to listen to it and hear stuff I never would have heard otherwise. And I love, of course, thank you so much for introducing me to The Room, because I still quote it constantly, as does my wife. It's
honestly,
awesome.
Mike, I am shocked how many people were introduced to The Room through us, because I thought I thought we got on that late. Like I thought we were like jumping on the bandwagon with The Room. And a lot of people, a lot of people were like, "Oh, I was introduced to The Room through your commentary. I'd never even seen it before," and that blows my mind because I thought that was like a thing already. And it was a thing, but apparently we were able to spread the disease of it a little bit more.
Well, it's interesting too because I've listened to some of the archives of the other podcasts talking about it. I know you introduced Fozzie to it, didn't you?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, and you did a great podcast, Room Spectacular, which is pretty cool. And no, it's funny. I thought you'd ridden the wave too, but I think it just keeps cresting. Honestly, I think it's in the kind of cult kind of circuit. Kind of has been for a while, but it keeps growing. I expose it to some other people. They've shown it to other people. It's just pretty awesome. And what I love about that movie too, by the way, is that. Well, two things. One, like I said, I just went into the archives for Fozzie's podcast and listened to when you guys were on. I'm really glad that you didn't have them tearing you apart as number one because I like it, but I think the other ones are better. And the one you didn't put in there that I absolutely love, two of them, is the guy talking about me underwears. That dude that gets the blowjob with the what is it, a bonbon or whatever he's eating.
Yeah.
And the other is I've already ordered a pizza. I think that's just the best line ever.
It's a lot of fun.
Oh,
a lot of fun.
Yeah, so it's great, man. You guys do a great job. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and not only do you guys have some of the best audio quality, which I really appreciate being a filmmaker, but you tend to focus on films that no one else is talking about. And yet, when we're on live, there's nothing you won't talk about. And it is cool to hear some of your thoughts about more mainstream stuff, too, because Usually, especially when when I've been on just for the Freeform live show, which you don't really do anymore.
I miss doing it, but we just don't have time.
Oh, sure. No, I don't blame you guys. I mean, it's a lot. You guys do tons of shit anyway.
Having a family and
yeah, children and jobs and movies to watch, but I always, I would always, for those personally, just write down whatever I'd watched in the last couple of weeks and just bring it in, and we'd just use it, at least for me anyway, whatever I would bring up as a jumping off point, and I loved how tangential stuff would get,
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I'm really glad that we've been able to meet you and hang out and become friends, and like we hang out, when we do screenings, we go and grab dinner first and stuff, and
yeah,
I'm looking forward to doing more of that in the future. So
yeah, me too, man.
So I want to send out an invite to you now, though. We're going to be doing Video Nasties after next week's show, and I definitely want to have you come in for an episode of those.
Oh, I'd love to. Let me know, man. Definitely.
So we'll work that out, Mike. I've got another call I'm going to do in a minute, so I don't want to make you feel like I'm cutting you off, but this is one that's
No
a
worries,
time sensitive one. But obviously, Michael Neel is the director and one of the minds behind Infinite Santa 8000 and Drive-In Horror Show. Check him out on Twitter. Check him out on Facebook. The best place to go and find all that information and link you to everything else is driveinhorrorshow.com. The DVD is available now. Should be up on Netflix. If you have Netflix where you actually can request to have DVDs saved, make sure you do that for him. He is a legit dude, and his partner Greg that he works with on everything is just as legit, and I love these guys and can't say enough good things about them.
Thanks, man. We love you too. We definitely do. And you guys rock. Here's to 200,000 more episodes or something.
200,000 is a little much, but we'll shoot. We'll do like 50 at a time.
Whatever. 50,000.
Cool. Mike, thanks a lot for calling in, man. I know you were rushed and had a lot going on, so thanks for calling in.
You're welcome, man. Take it easy.
Take care, buddy.
Bye.
Michael Neel from Drive-In Horror Show. Again, good friend of the show. Love him to death. And can't wait to do more stuff with him. So very excited. Got something very special planned right now, which we're gonna see if we can work out, especially just for you guys on the live chat because it's not going out in the feed. Hello?
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 Well, hello there.
Who is this?
You called me, you rat bastard.
Oh, my God. Ladies and gentlemen, the illustrious and missing in action F-13.
Hey, hey.
So, Philippe, I just really wanted to get a call in with you because today is episode 200 of Outside the Cinema. I don't know whether you knew that or not.
I did. You, you made sure that anyone who was Facebook friends with you, it was inescapable.
This is very true. But obviously, me and you are friends now. We go back a long way. We did a lot of stuff early on when you guys were still doing Cinema Diabolica, and wanted to give you a call and just number one shoot the shit with you and let you know how much everyone still loves you and misses you.
Okay.
So thanks for taking the call. We'll talk to you again. No,
all right, later, everybody.
No, so F-13 man, what's going on? How you been?
I've been good. Just doing my thing, working. A lot of work lately, actually. The career has taken off, doing my thing that way. I've been kind of considering a return to the podcasting term thing.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Not doing anything that I'd been doing before, though. Something completely different.
So you're going to actually start a basket weaving podcast?
I really didn't want to give it away completely like that.
Sorry.
Fuck.
I shouldn't say that's going to be a video cast then, should I?
I have to scratch that now and start from a totally new thing here. Okay, so not basket weaving, but something different.
Something weaving?
Yeah, some kind of weaving-ing. Your mustache is making me gag a little bit.
Oh, you love it. What are you talking about?
It's
You didn't do a Movember mustache this year?
Not this year, no. Especially after last year. It was fucking horrible.
Yeah. It was way grosser than mine is. Mine's really not that gross.
That handlebars last year was fucking awful.
I liked it. I'm not going to lie. I liked it.
Yeah, it was a little okay. It was a little gay, but I kind of liked. That's kind of why I liked it. All right, fine, you got it.
Fair enough. So our chat room is blowing up right now, obviously, because of you. And a lot of people did. You and I did a very short-lived music podcast together,
right?
Called Stage Dives and High Fives. We did like 5 or 6, maybe 5 or 6 episodes.
5 or 6 ish, yeah.
And the reason why it didn't continue was because of how lazy both of us are.
Yeah, it was. Thankfully, you've got a great partner with some serious like drive to like hey, yeah, things are good and keep them going, and it's like yeah. Otherwise, it's like multiplying zeros, putting both of us into a show together because it's like we could do a show, but I could not. Yeah.
There were so many times too where I literally could have just been like shot you a text message or called you and been like, hey, let's do a show, and you've been like, all right, whatever.
Right, but it's like, yeah, the phone's all the way over there, and
I'd have to go upstairs to the studio and turn on the computer and
a whole lot of this and that and that.
They were fun though. I had a good time doing the episodes that we did, and they never even made it to iTunes because iTunes would never. That was the other issue that I got really frustrated with is iTunes for whatever reason never validated the feed.
Yeah.
So we never got it to iTunes. You could get it through the Mevio iTunes, but not through like our own. So like if you did a search for it, you couldn't find it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. iTunes has been a little finicky with accepting accepting podcast feeds. My friend Mike's podcast isn't listed on iTunes, and they can't figure out why, and no one else can figure out why, and it's just not there.
Well, and the thing is too, then you try to contact iTunes and you get nothing.
Yeah, no, they don't have like a public representative that's like kind of available. There are people you can get in touch with, but you have to know someone that has the phone number.
Right. Yeah, it's very strange because like Piccoloaf in our chat room is saying they put their podcast in and they got approved within like 15 minutes of it, but we got rejected like 3 different times. At first, we thought it was because we were using copyrighted music, but there was never even like we never got anything either way.
Right. Yeah, there was no kind of like. That's kind of what I dislike about it is that there's no dialogue that they open, even like a message like, "Hey, your feed was rejected because," it's just nothing ever happens.
Yeah, it's annoying.
It is annoying.
It is annoying. So we've been revisiting some memories throughout the night, and we were going back and listening to some clips from some of the OTC CD episodes, and looking back on those, I mean, I had a lot of fun. I especially had a really good time on the Godzilla episodes that we did together.
That episode was completely ridiculous.
It was so far gone, and it's funny because to pull the curtain back for a minute, the way we recorded is we recorded 2 different episodes. We recorded an Outside the Cinema episode, and we recorded a Cinema Diabolic episode. So there was 2 episodes that week, and that was, I think, the first time we did a full-on crossover where we each released an episode in the same week with the others on it that were different episodes.
Right. It was a bit like corralling kittens.
Yeah, it was intense. So we did 2 full Godzilla episodes. So we had like our fill of Godzilla episodes. And by the time we were about, I'd say probably halfway through recording the OTC episode, which was the first of the 2 episodes, we also had this thing too when we would start recording where we wouldn't actually start the episode until we'd talked for like an hour.
Yeah.
And then we'd be like, oh, okay, let's start the episode. So by the time we reached the second hour of the OTC episode, we were already over 2 hours into just shooting the shit with each other. So by the time we reached the end of our episode, then rolled into your episode, it was a mess. It was a mess.
It had been, we had been just sitting there bullshitting for a long time, and at that point it ended up being a little like, ugh, we're still talking about Godzilla.
But it was fun.
Yeah, it was.
People still call for that. Would you be willing to come on and do a Godzilla Outside the Cinema episode with Chris and I?
Yeah, I can. I never. Well, I mean, except for that one time, I never get tired of talking about Godzilla stuff.
Except for the one time I actually had to talk about it, I didn't go. I never got tired of it.
I can say that I'll do it all day long, but when I actually had to, I was like, "Ugh, this is getting so boring, you guys."
So what I'll do is I'll hold you to that. We'll plan something and we'll talk about it later on. But what are some of your favorite memories, just kind of in general, of whether even Cinema Diabolic or Outside the Cinema, or just kind of the stuff that we did together or on our own, or just interactions in the community that we had way back?
Right off the top of my head, I have to say the Blitzkrieg Stalag 69 or whatever, that interview with that guy, that was probably I can't even begin to explain what that interview was like. Like the stuff that you guys didn't even hear, and like the stuff like it. I can't even begin to explain how awkward and weird that interview was.
It really it's just, we talked to the guy, and I had talked to the guy back and forth a little bit about kind of like what the interview was going to be, and I got kind of a strange feeling from him
Right.
Where and you said it in the opening. I played the opening to that show a little while ago, and you were worried that they were going to be like remnants of the SS or trying to start up like a new SS or like something. And those conversations.
This isn't an exploitation movie. These guys are actually. This is a recruiting film.
Yeah, because the way they talked about it, and I remember the director being like, "Well, we wanted to make sure that we presented it as real as we could," and it was like, "Wait, what? You want to present the Holocaust as real as it was?
You want it to be totally accurate."
It's just like I couldn't believe it. It was just odd. It was like afterwards. And I remember after we did the interview, we were just like, because like at the time we watched the movie, we were like, oh, that wasn't so bad. But then as we thought about it, we were like, wow, that was actually really terrible.
Right. Like when you watch it, it's one of those movies where you watch it right away and your initial impression is like, oh, that could have been a whole lot worse. But then the more you think about it, the more you're like, oh God, why? Oh, and then the part with the and the titties. Oh my God. Oh fuck. What have I done to my brain?
So I think we watched it, and we had like an internet date when we watched it. We watched it at the same time,
right.
like over Skype,
listening to each other breathe.
It was so creepy. But it's it was making memories, making memories. But so then by the time that we did the interview, the guys were like all like excited about it, and we were like, I don't really like the movie that much.
Right. It's like, we really should have talked to you right after we watched it, because now like there's holes in it, and I can see the Emperor's got no clothes, and it's kind of horrifying.
And I want to say that we were misquoting scenes in that from scenes from other Nazi exploitation films.
I think we did. I think. At this point, I don't remember if it was intentional or not, but I think we were like talking about like other movies when we were talking to him.
Like the scene when you guys put the guinea pigs on the woman to make it seem like they were rats, and the guy's like, "Yeah, definitely," and I'm like, "That wasn't
totally."
In that movie.
Aside from that, my other best memory is probably what was that show that we did together with like the question and answer kind of stuff, where we just had people send in questions.
Oh yeah.
You remember that? How like it was such a great idea, but then the execution was like it ended up being really weird and awkward, and like I hated it, and I didn't even want to post it, but then I did, and everyone loved it, and I was like, okay, I'll never understand you people, but all right,
that's how it goes. I remember we set out the thing that was like questions for us, and it was like I remember one of the questions that actually I had to set it up because I knew how it would work, and this was obviously still when Ryan was on the show because. It was early on, and you just asked him bacon with a question mark because he has this weird thing where he hates bacon.
Yeah,
and
you're telling me it's like goes beyond like a hate. It's almost like a phobia. Like he's afraid of bacon,
which I still can't to this day understand. The only way I can appreciate somebody not enjoying bacon is if they don't eat pork.
Right. It's like if you're some kind of like Muslim where like you're like that kind of thing where you're like pork is like against your religion, then I can imagine you being like, oh God, is there pork in that? No, get it away. It's gonna damn me to hell.
I don't want pork.
No.
Ugh. One of my favorite things thinking back was I think when we did I think it was still in the Nazi exploitation episode. No, you know what it was? We did a joint episode where we talked about women in prison. We did a women in prison top 6. And I actually had you prepare the top 6, and we got like, I think numbers like 4, 5, and 6. You were like, these are only on the list because there's only 10 films, and I haven't seen 3 of the films in the genre.
Look, the deal is this: there's not enough for an entire list, so they all had to go on the list.
You're like, these are the 6 that I've seen, and 3 of them I don't particularly like.
Right.
You're like, the Big Dollhouse is good, but nothing else on this is something that I would like to share with anyone.
Right. There was also the tribute to now I'm not going to be able to remember his name. The effects guy that died, and like
Stan Winston.
Stan Winston, yes, the Stan Winston tribute episode. And I remember the news broke, and like I remember you called me like 30 or 45 minutes later. It was like, dude, Stan Winston's dead. We need to do a tribute show and get it out quick before everyone else does it.
And we did, and then misquoted a ton of things in there. We gave him credit for a whole bunch of stuff that he didn't. It was like his I think we talked about The Thing. And we were like, because Stan Winston's company did the special effects, but he didn't have anything to do with them.
Right. So, folks, listen. This is the deal here. Preparation is king.
It was funny stuff. Chris is in the house. Say hi to Chris.
Oh, hey, Chris. What's good, partner?
I do remember that was funny because then I remember I got a couple of hate mails that were like, "You're an idiot." Like Stan Winston had nothing to do with this, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Sorry, guys.
Actually, I think I was listening to that.
Your mic's on, so you can talk into the mic if you want.
And then I forgot about it.
Well, that's okay.
You read what I wrote, and I'm like, oh, it's fine.
Good times. Well, Philippe, man, thank you for jumping on the call with me, really. I know it's super short notice.
Never a problem. And real quick before I go, I want to say, okay, so thinking, now that I've had a second to think about it, my favorite memory was, none of you guys have ever heard this because it wasn't recorded or it wasn't a show thing, but I was on the phone with Bill, and then there's a call on the other line. I think we were on Skype, and his cell phone rang, and he was like, "Oh, hey, it's their realtor." So he answers the phone. I was on the phone with them when they got their house, the house that they're in right now, and it was a real bonding moment. I'm gonna roll a tear here. I can hear Mel in the background woohooing.
Woo!
It was beautiful.
Yeah, no, I remember that. And obviously, we become real friends. When we were in San Francisco a couple years ago, we got to hang out.
Yeah, and when I get to Boston, we'll definitely hang out again.
Anytime you guys want to come up here, man, you don't even have to worry about getting a hotel. You can crash with us, so you're always welcome.
Yeah, definitely, dude. I want to come out there, and we can we'll go out there and then go to Maine and get just eat lobsters.
Yes. We'll get the lobster feast. I think we're doing another Vegas trip in February too. So I don't know what you guys got going on, but I know Tommy's planning on coming out. So
Tommy Snorkel.
Yeah, Tommy NorCal, if you will.
There's a long story around that. I'll tell you that someday.
I would love to
off
hear
the
it.
record.
I would love to hear it
about the snorkel. Yeah, Vegas sounds good in February.
Cool, man. So we'll do that Godzilla show. I'll get in touch with you. I'll hold you to it this time because actually, really, we could accomplish anything we wanted to is if we actually just called each other out on it.
Definitely.
So, but ladies and gentlemen, F13, formerly of Cinema Diabolica, now of being the general man in all facets.
Indeed. Peace, bitches.
Take care, man. What's up, Chris? Yeah, we're getting ready to rock and roll here. Been doing the pre-show for a couple hours.
I know. I saw some of it.
Did you enjoy it?
What I could leave unmuted. Yes.
Yes. Allow me to switch cameras here. Hold on one second.
There was some fucker driving in front of me doing 23 miles an hour in a 45.
Well, of course.
I think it was from somebody from a competing podcast. It had to have been.
Was it the horror etc. guy?
I wasn't gonna say anything.
Could have been. So I don't know what to do about the lighting in here. As you can see, everything is bleached out like ridiculous.
No, I haven't seen it yet. I'm gonna.
Oh, it's terrible.
All I saw was your child molester mustache.
It's pretty good though, right?
If by good you mean like what's his face in that movie that Peter Jackson directed that wasn't a Lord of the Rings movie?
Meet the Feebles.
Yeah, that's it. Actually, that would probably fit. Yeah.
So, all right. So that pretty much wraps up the pre-show. We're going to get ready to do the episode 200 in about 5 to 10 minutes. I got to do something with these lights because looking at the camera there, it is just bleaching
that's a pretty heavy-duty one you got in both spots.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I got to figure that out. But so we're going to take a quick break. I'll put some tunes on here so you guys can hear some music as soon as they open up iTunes. Those of you guys that hung out for the pre-show, thank you very much. I had a good time revisiting some stuff. Essentially, it was really just a way to kill 2 hours. So that is that. Hangout will be ready to go in just a few minutes, and we will start episode 200. How does that sound, Chris?
Sounds good to me.
All right, then. Let's play... Hang on. Of course, my computer's going to freeze.
Oh, yeah, it's going to want to update, too.
Oh, obviously. Let's play this. We'll be back in a couple minutes, guys.
Squire just came out to mow his lawn.
Alrighty, I hope everybody is ready for OTC-200. All right, so here's the plan. Let me kill that down. So, all right, so Chris, here's the plan, and everyone that's watching it, we got a pretty good size live audience watching us tonight, which is awesome. Thank you guys very much, very much. So here's our plan. We have a basic outline for a regular show. We've got a top 6 list. We've got some reviews, but I've got a whole bunch of clips. I've got email coming out of my fucking ears.
Good.
I've got. We're gonna split this. I'm not gonna make you read all this. We'll split it up.
Oh, well, whatever.
No, there's a lot there.
I know. I only looked
we got a
quick.
ton of voicemails. We got some MP3s from friends of the show. So that's kind of what the plan is. So we're gonna start the show in just a moment. We're going to shut the feed down and restart it again. And hopefully I will remember to record the show, which is obviously a very important part of it, right?
A little bit.
Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Talk for me for a second.
Hello.
You sound good in your headphones?
I sound fine, actually.
All right, cool.
So I'm good.
All right, so we're going to get started in just a moment. We're going to shut down the feed and restart it. Thank you guys very much. I know we're going to say this a bunch in the next couple hours, but we can't say thank you enough for what you guys have done for Outside the Cinema over the years. I know I can be a bitch and I can say some stuff and I can run my mouth, but at the end of the day, honestly, what you guys do to support the show and come out and, post in our forums and post on our message book and download the show. I mean, downloading the show, if you download it, I mean, I guess I really probably shouldn't have a problem with you. But I do. So thank you very much.
But I do.
But I do. Thank you very much. Get ready. This is Outside the Cinema 200.